Let's talk about the unwritten rules of RV camping. Hi, I'm Christina from Travels with Ted, and I've been a full time RVer since 2016. So I've stayed at hundreds, if not thousands, of RV parks, campgrounds, and boondocking campsites across the country. And today I want to discuss the RV camping rules I think we should all be following to be good campers and good neighbors. Please engage in the comments. I really want to hear where you agree, where you disagree, and what you would add. First, keep the black tank closed. I know this one can be controversial, but please, if you're camping at a campsite where your neighbors are close to you, keep that black tank closed. No one needs to know when you're going number two in your RV, and if you leave that black tank open, they certainly will. Leaving your black tank closed is also a good practice for keeping your tanks clean, but it's also important as a rule of the campgrounds to keep everybody happy and keep those odors away from your neighbors. Then, when it is time to dump your tanks, try to do it when your neighbors aren't outside. As full time RVers, we're usually up early in the campground, so we usually try to go outside at 6 a.m. and dump our tanks before the neighbors are awake and sitting at their picnic table. If you're not up that early, try to do it in the middle of the day when your neighbors are out and about, or at night after they've already gone to bed. If you do have to dump the tanks while they're sitting outside, at least give them a warning. The next unwritten rule that we always try to follow, but we see getting broken all the time, is to give your neighbors a minute to set up before you go and introduce yourselves. I'd say every third time we pull up at a campground, before we're even done unhitching, someone pulls up and starts asking questions. And then when they hear we're full time, they have additional questions. And an hour later, our truck's still idling and we can't remember if we leveled the RV side to side. It disrupts our whole setup process. And these people are always so sweet and we love talking to them. We just wish they would give us an hour to set up, then come over and introduce themselves. The next unwritten rule is to walk on the road and stay out of other people's campsites. Right now, if I walked through the 3 campsites in front of me, it would make it a little bit shorter to get to the bathhouse at the state park. But instead, I'll head out to the road and walk that way so I'm not disrupting other people's personal space. And the fourth one, which also may be quite controversial, is always keep your dog on a leash. This is an actual written rule at most campgrounds, but it gets broken all the time. We see so many people who let their dogs roam around, but they say they're under voice control or they're friendly, so it doesn't matter. We've had many dogs just walk up to our campsite and we have to look around and find who their owner is. Again, most of these dogs are friendly and most of them are well trained, but that doesn't matter. Your dog has to be on a leash to keep your dog safe from local wildlife and from cars in the campground. And even if your dog is friendly, someone else's dog who's tied up at the campsite next to you may not be friendly. And there are plenty of people who are scared of dogs and don't want to interact with your dog, even if they are friendly. So if you're at the campground, your dog's got to be on a leash. And while you're at it, always pick up after your dog and make sure their poo gets in the trash. The next unwritten rule we try to follow is to be quiet at all times, regardless of quiet hours. If we're playing music at our campsite, we try to keep it at a volume where it's not interrupting the neighbors' conversations. The only exception to noise is if we have to, do a repair on the RV, use a drill, something that is kind of noisy. And then we try to do that in the middle of the day when most people are out and about and not at their campsite. Another unwritten rule I'd really like to see more campers follow is to turn your outside lights off when you go to bed, whether they're lights on your RV or you have the colorful LED lights on your RV or you have string lights around your campsite. If you're in bed, those don't need to be on. But we see so many people leave their lights on all night long, and sometimes they shine into other campers' RVs. They make it harder to see the stars. So if you're hanging out outside, by all means, keep your low lights on so you can see and everyone stays safe. But if you're not outside, go ahead and turn those lights off. My final unwritten rule for camping at RV parks and campgrounds is to just be friendly. Wave at your neighbors, smile, say hello, and if they're up for it, chat. If they don't seem like they want to chat, walk away. Just follow some good basic social skills. Campgrounds are just a more enjoyable place for everyone if everyone's smiling and being kind. And if your neighbors are doing something that they shouldn't be doing, just politely ask them to turn the music down or not have their kids walk through your site, but don't cause a big ruckus or get angry at anyone. Meeting new people and getting to hear stories from other campers across the country as we travel is one of our favorite parts of RV camping, and one of the reasons we stay at RV parks and don't boondock all the time. Speaking of boondocking, if you're going to boondock, there are a few other unwritten rules that you should follow. When boondocking, you should really try to give other RVers their space. Many people go boondocking because they want privacy and connection with nature. So if someone's RV is right here boondocking, try not to pull up right on top of them. Try to want to take the furthest campsite away that is really suitable for your RV. Especially if you're camping during the week or the off season or a spot that's not popular. If there's lots of space, use that space. And if you are in an area where you have to be somewhat close to other campers, then you really want to be conscious of when you're using a generator, because again, people are boondocking to try to connect with nature. And if you're running that generator all day, it could really disturb their trip. Of course, if you gave other campers their space, then you can use the generator more and noise will be less of a concern. When you're boondocking, you also need to make sure you have permission to camp where you're camping. Make sure it's legal and that you're camping on designated campsites and not disturbing the land. And of course, leave the land like you found it. Take all of your trash with you and just don't be a bad camper. What other unwritten RV camping rules do you think we should add to this list? Leave them in the comments. Happy camping.